Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Thursday, ready to go for another UFC fight night after a week off. What's up, 78 Northwest? Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you. Infinity, what's up? Welcome in as well. And Shawnee was in the chat early. Had a couple things to say. So, Shawnee, thank you for jumping in. Hopefully, you're still here, ready to hang out and interact with the show. All is good. What's up? Thank you for coming in. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys as usual. And yeah, we got to talk about this UFC Houston card. And we had some other news break earlier this week with the announcement of Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. And we talked about it a while back when we saw, some stuff going on with Ronda training, and then right after, coincidentally, Gina Carano back in the gym training, and everyone was wondering whether or not that was for a fight or if that was just them trying to get back in shape because, Ronda had kids. Gina just wasn't doing things and, didn't look like the Gina of old, which wasn't bad either, but she definitely didn't look like a fighter anymore. So people talk shit about that. She was going through some stuff in her life, and I'd rather watch Gina and Deadpool. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing here is there's age, there's downtime, there's time away from fighting in general. I mean, Gina's been gone for 10 years, damn near, and I'm sorry, longer than that, I think. Yeah, what the hell am I saying? It's been longer than that. I think Ronda's been gone for 10 years. Either way, they've been gone for a long ass time. So, yeah, it's tough, man. But I mean, there's a lot to talk about there, so we'll get into it here in just a minute. Shawnee in the chat was talking about Gable Steveson fighting tonight in Mexico on some kind of Mexican fight card. And I know like some people didn't really know about that. I had heard about it just through some of the other podcasts I listened to. And, people will bring up Gable Steveson in conversations for the White House card, for the UFC in general. And I mean, that is a possibility. That is a possibility. If he wins again emphatically like he has been in the past, first round KO finishes, or even if he just puts up a great showing and it's a great fight, regardless of whether it ends in the first round or not. But I think more than likely, if it ends in the first round, they're probably going to be looking at getting him into the UFC soon. I don't know about the White House card, because if they're going to do 6 to 7 fights only, I don't think they're going to make room for a debuting fighter, regardless of how popular he seems to be. But I've been wrong in the past, and I could be wrong again. So that is something to look out for. But it will be interesting to see what Gable does in this kind of one-off fight in a different fight league. He's been doing other stuff like LFA, dirty boxing, stuff like that. So it's like he's making his rounds, and wherever he can get some extra fights in, getting that record built up and continuing to challenge himself. Whether or not you see it as a challenge, you got to think he may be a phenomenal athlete, but he's not the fighter that a lot of people might think he is, just by seeing what he's done in the recent past in his previous fights. So it's interesting to know that he's actually putting himself out there in different areas and not looking for the biggest names of the biggest sport, and just trying to get that in that cage experience and really that fight experience, because there's nothing like it. And people might doubt him and down on him or whatever, but I think he's trying to fast track in the smart way, I think, especially with having somebody like John Jones kind of looking over his shoulder and helping him out with things. Regardless of what you think of John Jones, he knows how the fight game goes, and that might be something that benefits Gable in the future. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes and how quickly he winds up in the UFC. Or if he ever does. I mean, at this point, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion, unless he gets knocked the fuck out quickly and doesn't recover from something like that. But I'm not sure that we're going to see that, just going off of the type of opponents he's been having. But like I said, I think it's good for him to get that experience and get those kinds of fights in there. before he decides to go, balls to the wall at the highest level of the UFC. Whether or not you think he's ready for that is a whole different story. And it's your own opinion, I guess. But if you've been following him, but I think it's good for him to be getting some of this experience out of the way and under his belt, so then he doesn't have such a shell shock of a moment when he gets that higher level of competition and the different type of production and the way that things run at the UFC. But he seems like a guy that adapts easily and quickly, and he seems to be pretty good at everything he does. So I'm not sure that it's going to be too long before we see him in the UFC. You know, except for if he just goes down hard and gets knocked out a couple times in a row or something like that. What up, Antoine? Welcome back. Appreciate you for jumping in. I know you had your show going on. You're probably multitasking, so I appreciate you for always jumping in and interacting. I'm sure we'll hear more from you in a bit. But yeah, so on top of that, we also have what else? I think there's some boxing going on this weekend. It is Ryan Garcia making his way back to the ring versus Rolly Romero, if I remember correctly. Let me look this up real quick because I did not prep anything for this, just because we had plenty. I'm sorry, not Rolly, Barrios. I don't know. I always do that with those two guys. I'm not sure why. Because I'm not big into boxing, so it's Mario Barrios. It's not, and I should remember that because I always laugh because it's funny that maybe it's childish. I don't know, but it's funny that his name like rhymes with itself. You know what I mean? Like the first and last name, it always sounds weird. But Rolly Romero as well. Like that's just, I think it's the way that those two names flow is what's funny to me, and that's what sticks in my head, which is pretty much the reason why I get confused with them. Oh man, it's just that's one of those things. Yo, what up, Tyler Betts? Welcome back. Appreciate you for jumping in. Alliteration, man. Yeah, exactly.
What's happening with you, man?
Oh man, I don't see too many other big names that I recognize on the card. So I mean, I think it's just one of those Ryan Garcia fights that has some heat behind it, and with Garcia, there's always some semantics and craziness that happens. So Antoine, my week's been okay. It's been okay, up and down, a little bit of weirdness throughout the week. It was a shorter week for me for work, but man, it was just troubles throughout the week for work. Otherwise though, Barrios decision, Tyler Betts says, okay. Yeah, I'm not big on the boxing stuff, especially at this level. They're higher level boxers, obviously, but I mean, as far as the card goes, I don't know a ton of people on the card, and I wish I did. I wish I had. I need some memory and RAM upgrades in my brain. My job is pretty demanding, so I need to remember a lot of stuff for my job, and that takes up a lot of space in my brain, and it sucks. What was a job in your 20s that built character? Oh, damn. I would say cooking. I was a cook at cook chef, whatever. It was a steakhouse. I was like pretty much about to be the main guy at in the kitchen before the place went under because of some nefarious things going on in the background with money. But anyway, that definitely built character. Working in restaurants, I worked in various different restaurants, and I feel like that built something in me, character wise, leadership wise, work ethic, and I did a lot of crazy shit when I was working in restaurants too. It was a fun time. I'm not gonna lie, especially the last place I worked. It was a fun time. There was a lot of cool people I worked with, but it taught me how to work with different various types of people and attitudes, and how to how to just kind of put yourself out there in a assertive way, I guess. You kind of have to do that in the kitchen, otherwise you'll get run over. And I was the guy doing the running over instead of the guy getting run over, unlike when I first started. So Wait, why did the movie Waiting just pop in my head? I'll tell you why, Infinity, because when you think of the movie Waiting is almost exactly what my life was in the restaurant. I'm not even kidding. The last place I worked at was damn near the movie Waiting. How did you handle those days when you were angry and had to calm yourself down? Probably not the best way. I did a lot of things maybe I should have been doing back then, but I partook in. Thank you, Mom.
Smoke weed every day.
I did that a lot, Antoine, and I know you know all about that. But that's how I kind of kept my cool, honestly. But I had to. Yeah, I had to. Yeah, I do have to still work on it. It's a nonstop thing. I was born with an angry side, unfortunately. But yeah, it did teach me how to deal with a lot of that. So that's a great question, Antoine. I appreciate you for asking that. It throws me back into those times, and it's cool. I do love cooking still. I think that shaped me for the life I live now, and for a lot of reasons, as far as work goes, work ethic and stuff like that, as well as the way I do stuff at home. I cook all the time. I am the cook in my house. So, and I enjoy it. So it's a good thing. So yeah, I appreciate that question, Antoine. That's a good one. But back to the combat sports stuff. Yeah, we got the boxing match going on. We got the Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano announcement, which we'll get into first. And after that, we will talk about UFC Houston because it's a decent card. There's some pretty good fights on there. And as much as everyone's talking about how the cards coming up are not going to be great because of the White House card, we're pretty much, no one's expecting any really, really good cards until about July or later. And that might be the truth because of how stacked they're trying to make that card, but it is what it is. We enjoy the fact that we have fights still for the moment. Thank you for that. I'm working at a side hustle while I chase my journalism, but the side hustle is becoming frustrating. Yeah, man, you have to go through those frustrating times before you get to a spot where you excel. And I'm in a spot at my job where I've become a leader basically, and I have a crew of guys that work under me, and I have to deal with a lot of the somewhat as administrative as it can be in my field, but I have to deal with a lot of different things, and it's one of those things that helped me was going through all the hard times, the frustrating times at a job that you're not passionate about. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% passionate about what I do now. I just know my skill level and what I can do and what I'm able to achieve, and that's how I make my living. So that's important to me. That's important enough to me to not worry about whether I'm passionate or not about it. I make my money and my living and by doing this job, and I do enjoy what I do to a certain extent. So when I look at my skills, this job has helped me a lot in my life as well. So it's and I've been there for 18 years at this point. So it's been a long time, and I still, I'm still here kicking, doing it. So if y'all really want to learn Big E, we could interview him. Let us know in the comments. Yeah, I mean, we did talk. Me and Infinity did talk about doing the reverse interview thing on this channel. So let me know. I mean, if you guys really want to do it, if you guys really want me to do it, I just know that diverting a little bit off the topic of combat sports and MMA and stuff like that sometimes derails things a little bit with people, gets people confused, but at the same time, I am the one here talking to you at all times, and MMA intertwines with every aspect of my life for over 20 years at this point. So it wouldn't be a bad idea, and we definitely could do that as long as there's interest for it. And it worked well for Infinity's page and for people to get to know him and putting him out there. And I think it'd be fun. So we could probably do that. If I again, Infinity, I forgot about it, which it's just been a crazy week, and I got a lot of other stuff going on at the moment. And I'm also have a interview lined up here soon for Monday. I'll be doing another interview for the first time in a while. It's just nothing's lined up. So Combat Sports Today, though, is how I get my interviews. And this is a guy who's looking to try to get into Ryzen. was in one championship before, and it should be a good interview, and I will let you guys know exactly who it is and all that good stuff on Sunday. So just be on the lookout for that, and the interview will happen Monday night, so you guys probably won't see it until the middle of next week sometime. But go subscribe to Combat Sports Today as well. They keep you really up to date on everything, and they have a lot of great fighter interviews over there. They actually just interviewed a guy that's on this card this week. So there's that too. So all good. Just giving people great to hear your journey on this place in time with all your hard work. Oh, thank you, 78 Northwest. I appreciate that. So yeah. We got a card this week, UFC Houston, and I will point out the fighter that was interviewed on Combat Sports Today when we get there. But before that, we got to do the normal getting ready for the show, and we got to hit up our sponsor and take a nice big whiff of some Noctane smelling salts, of course. The way I stay awake and alert and get myself going for this show. I shake it up because that's kind of how you activate the ingredients inside to get you that nice big whiff of what you're looking for when you open this bottle. This one's strong a lot of the time. No problem, Antoine. Appreciate you for the questions as well and the interaction. It's always fun when people show interest in what you're doing and you as a person. So I appreciate that. But yeah, Noctane, I mean, I can smell it through the bottle. It's not as harsh, but when you open the cap, it's pretty harsh, but it's good. It helps you. It needs to be that way to wake you up and give you that little boost of adrenaline. And I use it all the time. There's 3 different potencies. The caps tell you the potency. Red is the most potent. Black is the mid-range. And white is the least potent, kind of your novice entry level. But it's still effective. So scan that QR code that you see on the screen or click the link in the description below and check out Noctane Smelling Salts. They have a really good website. It's fun to look at. It's informative. And yeah, it's a good one. So let's take a nice big whiff real quick. Oh, there it is. Double time. Double time. The first one, I smelled it and I got worried. It was going to be very harsh. Man, I love this stuff though. I use it all the time when I need to wake up and be alert, and it's effective. So go check it out, Noctane Smelling Salts. Appreciate you for the sponsorship. And yeah, if you guys are interested, go take a look. It's pretty affordable. It lasts you a good few months if you take care of it, as it should be taken care of, and depending on your usage as well. But it's a good product. It lasts you a while, and it doesn't cost too much, so it's cool. But let's get to what we're here for, and let me take a sip real quick and get ready. And we can get into what we're here for. Combat sports news and updates, previews, all the good stuff. Don't forget to like this video while you're here, please. I know I pinned it in the comments on the chat, but yeah, make sure you like this video before you get out of here at least. But if don't forget, so just close out that chat real quick or move on over to the spot where you can just hit that like button for me. I'd appreciate it. That helps me grow the channel, shows that people like the content and everything like that. And yeah, it's good. It helps me out and I'd appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed already, please do that as well. I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, hey, Tyler Fish, what up? Welcome in. Appreciate you for jumping in. Perfect timing. I just started working out. Nice. Well, yeah, it's a good time to listen to something. So here we go. Let's get started with the announcement of Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. I know that people are salty a bit by this. I know that people don't enjoy this announcement very much. I know that people are doubtful that it's going to even be good. But here's the thing. These are two of the I'm cooling bacon sandwiches and hitting dumbbells. Nice, Tyler. Oh, cooking. Okay. Oh, you're getting that at-home prison style workout. We got Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano though, and like I was saying, two most influential and pioneers of the women's MMA portion of the sport. And when it comes down to it, you can't deny how much influence both of these women had on the sport. Gina Carano came first, paving the way. She was one of the bigger, most well-known WMMA fighters. and she fought for Elite XC for most of her career, and she had one fight in Strikeforce against Chris Cyborg, and unfortunately she lost in a bad way, and that basically put her out of the sport. She hadn't really lost to that to that effect before, as she did to Cyborg, and Cyborg was exactly what her name is, a damn cyborg, and I'm sure she was juicing at the time too, I wouldn't doubt. But regardless of that, allegedly, but regardless of that, she put a beating on Gina, and Gina decided, you know what, that's gonna be it for me. I have a career that I can make for myself in other things, like being in high demand for movies and commercials and all kinds of different things that she was able to participate in and become even bigger of a star, until she had some controversy hit her, where she made some remarks about you know, a certain type of religion and people, and it got misconstrued, so she says. It wasn't good looks, but when it comes down to it, I don't feel like she's ever been that person to come out and say things in that fashion or manner, and it doesn't seem like that was really her character. So I believe her to a certain extent. I feel like the path she went down after she made these remarks, and after the controversy and the hate threads that she got, I feel like she went a little deeper in a direction that seemed a bit I don't know, polarizing. But sometimes you kind of have to go where you can go to redeem yourself in certain ways, and you get pushed in a certain direction sometimes that you can't help. So do you think Ronda is a top 15 martial artist of all time, counting her Olympic glory? If you count Olympics, I would say yes. And I think I might have to say yes to it all around, because the streak she went on, regardless of the opponents she had, which she did have some decent opponents, but you know, the lack of evolution in women's MMA to this point, and I know Tyler Fish will agree with that. I would say that she can still be considered in the top 15 100% with just her MMA career. Regardless of how it ended, it wasn't a good look on how she ended her career, and she went out in one of the harshest ways possible, but she didn't make it any better on herself with the way that she treated the fans and the media, and that's her own fault. And I think that she definitely let her ego get in the way of how her ego and entitlement get in the way of how she conducted herself past that. It doesn't seem like much has changed, except for the fact that she's a bit more open to the media and stuff like that now, which she has to be if she wants to properly promote this fight and her, you know, way back into MMA, whether it's just this fight or another. Did you watch her on The Mandalorian? I sure did. She was good on The Mandalorian. I liked her there. I think at the time she was fighting the best women on the planet at the time. Oh yeah, for sure, Antoine. That's except she didn't fight Cyborg. So you can say what you want about it, whether she ducked her or Cyborg was too difficult to work with for the UFC. I don't know, but yeah, like Kat Zingano was undefeated. Yeah, for sure. Want to know what I think? Oh, Juice Man. I don't know that I should say yes, but that piqued my interest, and I know what you say about a lot of people, so I am interested. So Juice Man, hit me up, let me know, tell us what you think in the chat. I'm telling y'all, this fight is just to hype the new Netflix movie or show. Ronda and Gina. Tyler, you might not be too far off. That or Gina joining WWE, which is on Netflix and the Paul brothers work for. Well, Jake doesn't work for anything that has to do with WWE. Him and his brother are definitely completely separate. If I've learned anything from hate watching and hating on the Paul brothers, which I do in some sense, but at the same time, I appreciate some of the stuff that Jake has done for the sport of for combat sports. But you know, that's few and far between. But yeah, definitely Logan, and the fact that I mean, you would think it'd be more in the UFC though, because they're owned by, you know, they're partnered with TKO, and you would think that it would be more about that. So it's kind of a convoluted thing where yes this and no that and no that and yes this. So a lot of people or just one people? Juice Man, what are you saying? For that, for me, it sucks that it isn't happening in the UFC. Yeah, Antoine. I mean, but I think the UFC's past doing fights that don't really belong there. And while this might be a blockbuster fight in some people's eyes and in the media's eyes at the moment and in the mainstream, there's also the hardcores out there and people that don't think that this type of fight is very interesting, considering the thoughts on women's MMA at this point, which is told by people in this chat a lot. But you know, that's not necessarily my feeling, and I'm surprised that Ronda Rousey was able to go do something outside of the UFC, and Gina Carano's never been a part of the UFC. And if you've heard any of the stories between her and Dana White, it's pretty difficult to see how she would go back and actually want to be in the UFC. So Ronda Rousey versus Sean Strickland versus Ryan Garcia, personality tier. Oh shit. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, Ryan Garcia is diabolical and flies off the handle at times and seems a little unstable, but compared to Ronda Rousey and her entitlement and bullshit and fucking stupid face that she makes when she tries to be all angry and does the stupid fucking face that she makes, I hate that shit. And then Sean Strickland's just a fucking douche. So at the end of the day, he just cannot keep his foot out of his mouth. Someone needs to stick something else down his mouth so he can shut the fuck up, because I think he needs to just take a chill pill and look in the mirror. And actually that might be why he's so angry, because he looks in the mirror too much and fucking hates himself. That might be the case. Anyway, there you go. All is good. Logan works for Jake. Logan works for Jake, has worked with, though, all partners with Netflix, though. Okay. Do you think Jake Paul has lost his marketability since people have now seen what they wanted to see? No, he's not going to lose that for a while. He's got things in the works and keeps attaching his name to things that people are interested and excited for. He's going to be in the limelight for a while. I know you're not talking about me. What are you saying? Seeing her compete again is about to be insane. Maybe. Angry face is cringe. Yeah, for sure. Like you're not that girl. Exactly, Juice Man. Gina would definitely get a What did Sean say? What happened? Well, Sean was going off about this fight, talking about how women just belong in the kitchen and should be fucking cooking and cleaning and shit, and how oh man, there was so much. You just have to watch the media day from the other day. It was ridiculous. He spews the most dumbest shit, and I'm not even just talking about what he said about this fight. It's just the first thing on the top of my head, because this is what's in my head. But he has said a bunch of dumb shit, and he continuously says dumb shit, and I just can't get down with that. And I talked about it in the last podcast on Sunday, or maybe last Thursday, about me not wanting to go up and meet other fighters because I would have had to cross his path, and I didn't want to deal with that, because I would have been polite, but you know, it is what it is. I didn't get to watch his media day. Oh yeah, just you'll see clips of it if you're on TikTok or something, man. I mean, you'll find it easily. There can only be one Tyler. You think Sean acts like this because of his childhood trauma? Oh, I guarantee that's part of it, and that might be part of the reason why he can't help it. But he claims that he wants to be a better person and all this other shit, but he doesn't try very hard to do that. So he can say what he wants about freedom of speech and all this other bullshit, but it's like you have to be a little bit cognizant of the way that you come off to other people, and how harshly you criticize other people when there's a lot of things to criticize about yourself. So while I'm on this show talking about things and I may criticize people, I'm doing a show that I have to let my personal opinions get in the way sometimes. So maybe I'm a hypocrite for that, but I feel like I don't criticize people to the fullest extent or as often as Sean Strickland does, and that doesn't make me any better, but it does say a lot about Sean and the way that he handles himself. Some of the things he says is funny, in a just weird ironic way, but most of the shit he says is just off kilter and dumb. Sean says that yet he's always helping Nina Drama make content and promotes her, probably because he gets paid. Well, yeah. Where's Tyler Pescado? Oh, he's here. He's right above you. Oh man. Anyway, a lot of people have these kinds of opinions. I mean, what's his fuck? That stupid old dumbass that talks shit on what was his fucking name? He's so irrelevant to me. I don't even remember his name. Some fucking older guy, talking head pundit dude that fucking talked a bunch of shit about this as well. And I understand that this may not seem like the best deal in the world, but I think it not being in the UFC is kind of, sorry, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. I do remember Andrew Tate Tyler. I do remember him. And Sean Strickland is like him, and just in a different level of things. I think Sean never thought he'd be famous, so he feels the need to share his opinion. Yeah, but when you take over when you take over a microphone in front of a bunch of people that are there to ask you questions about your fight and your career, and you decide to fly off the handle and take way too much time talking shit about one thing that has nothing to do with you or the promotion that you are in, just because it's part of the sport. Sure, if you say you don't like it, just say you don't like it and move the fuck on. I don't know why he has to go on some diabolical diatribe about how horrible women are in UFC and in sports in general. I mean, if he had a daughter, he might feel differently. I hate to tell you, because when you have kids and somebody and you have a daughter, I be grilling his fighter? Oh, who are you talking about, Juice Man? That one caught my attention, but I don't know what you said, honestly. I must have missed it, unless you're not talking about me. But yeah, so I just think that he's wasting a lot of people's time. If you watch the media day, I mean, a lot of times people be in the background laughing and stuff, but this time it was like dead silent, awkward silence. And it's one of those things where it's like, bro, read the room, just fucking move on. But yeah, whatever. Let's see. Oh, Yuri, what's up, Yuri? Welcome in. Appreciate you for coming in. Thank God he doesn't. That man doesn't need to procreate. Oh, yeah, my wife is not keen on Sean Strickland either. He's a jackass. But comment probably didn't get posted. Yeah, I didn't see it, Juice Man. So I mean, just say it again, bro. I don't give a shit. If I missed it, I missed it. Sometimes, man, sometimes I do miss things because I'm on a rant, or there's a lot of questions coming through. I'm blessed to have you guys all here, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are all here and interacting, because this chat movement makes this show go smoother, makes it better, and helps me stay interested and involved and alert. And I appreciate all of it, but I can't get to everything at all times. So if I miss stuff every once in a while, it's not a big deal. I mean, don't make it a big deal, please, because I apologize, and I don't necessarily mean to skip things. It's about your Princess O'Sally. No. You can say what you want about Sean O'Malley, bro. I don't give a shit. He's not really one of my favorite fighters. I wouldn't say. My daughter loves him. I think he's cool, but I think he's cringe in a way too. And some of the things he's a little bit he was on the delusional side for a long time, and that kind of was like, what? I just laugh it off. I mean, you just seem to hate him so bad, it's like, damn. So sometimes I'm like, holy shit. Dom Cruz versus Sean Strickland on the mic. You know what? Dominic Cruz might put me to sleep, but I'd rather that than listen to the bullshit dog shit that Sean Strickland spews at all times. Who is your favorite martial artist? That's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. Used to be Khabib for a long time, and Anderson Silva, I would say, were back in the day, and Cain Velasquez for sure were the ones from back in the day. These days, I mean, I don't really have a specific favorite. Izzy's always been a favorite of mine. No way, Tyler. But yeah, I don't truly have a favorite at the moment. I think that I might be one of those older guys that see a lot more in a lot of the older guys than I do in some of the newer ones. But there's a few out there that I like. I don't know. I can't think of it at the moment. I'm not sure who I'm willing to pin my my name next to as far as being one of my favorites. Max Holloway. You know what? I'll say Max Holloway right now is always been one of my favorites and still is. So that's definitely one of them. But yet he's still somewhat of an older guy too. So yeah, that's about the only one I can really think of off the top of my head at the moment. I like Ilya, but there's something about him I don't like, and I haven't been able to pinpoint it yet. So we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, after that rant, Gina and listen, Gina Carano's always been a favorite of mine, because obviously she's a very good looking woman, especially back in the day when she was fighting. You can find plenty of pictures of weigh-ins and stuff and you'll understand why. But other than that, if you watched Mandalorian or Deadpool or anything like that, you would also understand why, because she's a badass and she's great to look at. And I followed her career in the beginning as well, or I should say the last half of her career, before she retired. And it was just one of those things. It was my first kind of women's MMA fighter that I really paid attention to when I was, first getting involved in watching MMA. And since Dana White had always said that there wouldn't be any women's MMA in the UFC, it was definitely one of the things that I was like, you know what, this is one thing outside of the UFC that I really like. So not as good as your wife though, right? Tyler. she knew from the beginning how I felt about Gina Carano, and how that's what, you're allowed to have on screen. She knows. That's all you need to know. She knows. it was she's always my number one. That's all you got to know. My wife is always my number one. The people on the screen are just what they are. I liked her in Days and the Furious also. Oh yeah, Fast and Furious 2. I forgot about that shit, because Ronda they were both in Fast and Furious, which is crazy. I appreciate that, Tyler. Yeah, so both of them being having been in movies, both of them having done things outside of fighting, including Ronda going to the WWE. But here's the thing about Ronda, like, she went from being the fucking darling of the UFC along with Conor, and being the person that got some of the most attention, if not second to the most attention in the UFC, to then losing and acting like everybody was against her because she lost, because people of course are going to talk about her losing. And she had bigger reactions to people just talking about her losing the fight in general than she did to people criticizing her for her performance or saying that she was never that great in the first place. And I'm sure some of that mixed in is why she had the feelings that she had, but I think she took it a bit overboard. I think that she just acted like a little baby throwing a tantrum. Do you think Sean will make the Hall of Fame since he won the title? I hope not. That's all I can really say about that. She also did that movie with Mark Wahlberg. Well, she was in a few movies. They're gonna be Racing in Space, Running Out of Ideas. Oh, the new Fast movie. Yeah, I can't believe they're still making them. I'm not gonna lie, those were some of my favorite movies for a long time. The first like 4 tops, but after that it got crazy. But I would say because 1 and 2 were dope. 3 was cool in its own way because of Tokyo Drift, and then 4 was cool because they brought back, the actual like cast again. But yeah, past 4 it gets tough. I could probably tolerate 5, and then it really gets bad. They're gonna be an alternate universe.
Bruh.
No doubt. So here's what Ronda had to say. She said, been waiting so long to announce this. Me and Gina Carano are gonna throw down in the biggest super fight in women's combat sports history. And we're partnering with the Fighter First Promotion, MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, as well as the broadcast stream, the baddest streamer on the planet, Netflix. This is for all MMA fans, past, present, and future. More to come, much more. MMA adjacent hustle and flow, mate. Yeah, right. What if they race asteroids? Holy shit. So that was what Ronda had to say. Jake Paul came out and said, surreal moment. I started taking judo because of Ronda Rousey. Now I get to work with her and Gina Carano to bring MMA to Netflix. Here we go. And that's the craziest part, is that this is the first official MMA promotion, MMA fight in general on Netflix. And while we thought for a little while there that the UFC might move over to Netflix and begin streaming there and broadcasting there, that fell through and Paramount Plus took over. So now we have MVP boxing and now we have MVP MMA happening. Since when does Jake know judo? I don't know. I never really heard about him knowing judo. He just says that him and his dad and his brother started taking judo because of Ronda Rousey. So he claims to know a lot of MMA in general, like all aspects of MMA. I don't know how true that is, but you know how the Paul brothers are. So watching Jake Paul talk to her on a FaceTime in one of the videos they released was kind of awkward, because you know Ronda kind of has that that persona about her that she probably thinks Jake Paul's an annoying dumb asshole, but yet he's getting her a bag and getting her back out there without having to deal with the UFC. So she tolerates it. That's kind of what I got from all of that. Just the way that she reacted to him, she just seems like she's not impressed, but she does always look smug. That's a good point, Infinity. So you never know. But as far as Gina goes, I haven't seen a whole lot coming from her side. I've seen a lot more coming from the Ronda side, but still is relevant, I think, to the fact that she's coming back to MMA after so long. But Ronda also had this to say, because she can't keep her mouth shut for too long. She said, this rivalry has so many layers. Netflix isn't playing around. Bet you we can beat Paramount Plus's UFC numbers. So yeah. Already talking shit and throwing jabs at the UFC and their newly found broadcaster Paramount Plus, and just banging that drum for Netflix because she's getting that money. And I guess that's how you do it, but Ronda always has to do things a certain way, and it's not always the coolest way. He almost tried judo against Anthony Joshua. He almost tried a lot of things against Anthony Joshua. I'm surprised he didn't quit before he got knocked out. No, he didn't get knocked out, obviously, but before he got his jaw broken, I should say. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know if are we looking forward to it? Do we, how do we feel about this? Which fight is bigger for women's MMA history, this or Harrison versus Nunez? So legacy wise, I would say, and for history, because this was something that was supposed to happen in the UFC. They talked about it. They actually had Gina ready to go, and then Dana White decided to send her a text message that was probably a mistake being sent to her, but it actually got sent to her, and he doubled down by responding to Gina when she said, I think you sent this to the wrong person, because it was calling her a bitch and basically saying that she was trying to dick them around. And he basically told her, nope, I definitely sent it to the right person, because that's Dana White for you. He doesn't give a shit, and he's gonna tell you straight up what he thinks. And when somebody like that gets caught, when they get caught doing something or in the act of something, they'll just double down. That's kind of how Ronda is too. So I'm not surprised by that response.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
So yeah, it is what it is, and when it comes down to it, yeah, that's what happened with the UFC stuff. So it never happened there. So for like legacy wise and historically, this is actually a really big fight. But when you want to think about actual competition with higher stakes, Harrison versus Nunez is bigger for history, because it's a high level Olympic athlete that's won multiple gold medals in martial arts, that has now made her way to the biggest organization in the world for MMA, as well as winning gold there and proving how skilled she actually is. Regardless of what you think of the competition, her fighting basically the GOAT of women's MMA, that is considered what Nunes is considered to be. I believe that that does more for the sport at the moment, and this other one is kind of more a nostalgic blast from the past kind of thing that's fun. Whether it's going to be entertaining or not, I don't know. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a spectacle. I think it will be for sure. Technically in town in the chat, what's up? Netflix, approximately 260 to 282 million, significantly leads Paramount Plus, approximately 62 in global subscribers. Oh, good point. I mean, so that right there tells you she can make this statement very easily, because just from the amount of subscribers that Netflix has over Paramount Plus makes it easy to say that they're going to blow their numbers out of the water, because all you have to do is get those people to turn it on, and whether they enjoy what they're watching or not, they watch. And that many subscribers above the other streaming service is going to give you the bigger numbers, of course. Paramount versus Netflix personality tier. I don't know that I have one for that. Do you think Prime Ronda would have beaten Kayla? No, I think Kayla is a different type of fighter that would have I think that she would have kind of thrown Ronda around and frustrated her like Nunes did. I don't know that Kayla has that kind of striking, but I do think that she would attack her in a way that Amanda Nunes did, in order to just overwhelm her. And you know, if she would have fought her after fighting Holm like she did, or even before, I think that Harrison might have been a bit much for her, but I could be wrong. Given their styles, I think it would have been a crazy judo match, that's for sure. But if you look at their accomplishments, Kayla Harrison won 2 gold medals for judo in the Olympics, and Ronda only won 1 bronze. So there's a little bit of a difference there. And if I remember correctly, they actually had a match with each other in judo, and I can't remember if Harrison won or not. Damn it, I should have looked that up. Did you see the Kevin Durant drama? I don't think I did. What was that, Tyler? I don't think she was doing that, yo. Kitty owns up to his stuff. I would be surprised. Harrison would rip her arms out of the socket. Ronda won. Kayla was like 15. Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember, because I remembered that they had a match against each other, but I couldn't remember what wound up happening in it. But yeah, anyway, we see the accomplishments after the fact. But yeah, I don't know the Kevin Durant stuff. I might have missed that. But let's move on to the UFC Houston card, more up-to-date stuff. And yeah, while Ronda versus Gina is interesting and intriguing, I think that there's a lot to be seen. I'm interested to see what kind of card is built around this fight, especially being the first MMA card on Netflix and being promoted by MVP. And I think that's what's even more interesting. So I'll be on the lookout for all that news, and we'll talk about it as it comes in. And the NBA are conducting an investigation to see if KD made some burner accounts. Oh, I think he got caught with some burner accounts, did he not? If I remember correctly. Anyway, let's move on to some UFC Houston and get to talking about the fights this weekend. After a week off, we get UFC Fight Night in Houston. Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Hernandez on a crazy ass streak right now. I think of like 8 straight wins or something like that. We'll get to it here in a minute, but Sean Strickland, it's been like a year since he's fought. Yuri, mark my words, Fluffy will beat Strickland. I'm with you on that, Yuri. I'm not gonna lie. I'm with you on that. Not just because I don't like Sean, but I think Fluffy's a different type of fighter that can do a lot of things to frustrate Sean Strickland, and we see what happens when he gets frustrated. He kind of shuts down. And oh, okay, that's what you were talking about, Tyler, with the burner account stuff. Yeah, I did hear about that. Then I thought you were talking about something else. But yeah, did you get to watch Nolan? Did I get to watch Nolan Ryan? Yes, I did. I thought he was dope for being an older guy, being able to throw as hard as he did. And even when people came at him, he's just fucking throwing punches and landing them. That was cool shit. And I'll always remember that picture of him landing that punch as one of the guys comes, you know, chasing after him on the mound. It's pretty crazy. But Nolan Ryan's definitely great. And I did get to watch him on TV, but, you know, when he was actually pitching. So, but yeah, we got Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. And I feel like this should be a pretty good main event. I think it has potential to be an exciting fight. It might go to decision, but I think that it's going to be something like, oh, that was Robin Ventura, huh? Shit, I forgot about Robin Ventura. Damn. Cy Young main. 100% all is good. Bo Jackson was in that brawl too. Holy shit. That's crazy. And my KD 14s got stolen a few years ago anyway. Yeah. So what was I saying? Just I think Hernandez can frustrate Strickland, and even if he takes him to a decision, we've seen Hernandez do that and still be involved in decently entertaining fights. And we'll see how Strickland gets in there, because you know when he gets fired up too, it is a bit entertaining, and a big cringe at the same time, but that could, you know, cause for some fun minutes of fighting throughout the entire fight. So, but of course, as usual, I'd like to start from the bottom and work my way to the top, and we have to talk about the prelims as well, so we'll get to that now. And starting with the women, as we discussed some women MMA before we got to this, we got the women kicking off the prelims for UFC Fight Night in, oh shit, I never changed this one. Well, don't worry about where it says UFC Perth, because obviously I forgot to change it. I have templates that I just you know, make stuff from, and apparently I didn't double check this one, so that's my bad. But it is what it is. Did you see Gordon Ryan retired? I did. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, like, how much more can he do and accomplish with everything that he's already done and accomplished? It just seems like he was there to play around and you know, just kind of show off his skills more and more. So I think his health is way more important than that. He does look 70 with that white hair. It's crazy, but he's in great shape though. You gotta, you know, you still gotta give him that. But I think his health is way more important than continuing to fuck around with cutting weight for, you know, certain times that he's doing competitions and stuff. And I think that you know, he's a lifelong trainer. I guarantee that he'll train in BJJ or whatever, as long as his body will allow him to. But I do think that his health is way more important, and he should definitely focus on that and not have to worry about getting well just for a match and then going back to being unhealthy because of what he, you know, has to go through to get to these matches. So it's a different type of game for him, and it's best that he just focuses on that. So but yeah, first we start off with Juliana Miller versus Carly Judice, whatever, however you say it. I'm not even sure at this point, but she's a beast, man. I will say that. 5-2 for her, and 5-3 for Juliana Miller, who was the Ultimate Fighter winner, and has not had the best career. I can't really say that she's had the best career when it comes down to it in the UFC. She's 2-2. Her two losses were not, she just did not look good in those fights. She got a unanimous decision win in her last fight against Ivana Petrovic. She lost to Luana Santos and Veronica Hardy, who are two legit fighters and definitely tough opponents. She got TKO'd by Santos in the first round, and then she got unanimous decision loss to Veronica Hardy. She won her first fight in the UFC after winning the Ultimate Fighter. Oh no, I'm sorry. To win the Ultimate Fighter, she beat Brogan Walker by TKO in the third round, and you know, she had the wins in the Ultimate Fighter as well. So she's coming off a win at least, and she's looking to get above 500, and she's fighting a tough opponent in Carly Judice though, who has great striking and is definitely a tough opponent. She's 2-1 in her career, but she's looked good in all of her fights really. Her only loss is a split decision where she got a fight of the night bonus against Gabriela Fernandez. and then she beat Eunice Duben by head kick in the first round, which was exciting as hell. Got a performance in the night bonus there, and then beat Nicole Cagliari with the knee to the liver, and then following up with some ground strikes for yet another performance of the night bonus. So her 3 fights in the UFC have all earned her bonuses in the UFC, win or loss, which is impressive, and that's going to make for a tough fight against Juliana Miller. Did you watch pro wrestling growing up, like during the Attitude Era with Stone Cold Steve Austin? Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a bunch. I watched more when I was real young, and then in that Attitude Era and stuff like that, I watched a little bit here and there. I had some friends that watched it for a little bit, and I jumped in, but nothing really. So I didn't really get too deep into it. But yeah, I mean, the Attitude Era was fun for sure. Stone Cold was always a cool character, as well as Kane and The Undertaker, and I hated fucking the Olympian wrestler dude. Fucking what's his name? God damn it. I don't know why. Anyway, do not get on a Del Valle fight. Did I watch Miller on Tough? Yeah, I did watch that season of Tough. I did. I feel like she's kind of she's a wild girl, that's for sure. She's got an OF page if you're interested in that, but she's definitely interesting all around as a person and as a fighter. This should be an interesting fight for sure, and I think that we might get some fireworks in this one. So definitely don't miss that first fight of the night on the prelims. Next up, we got Jordan Levitt versus Yadier Del Valle, who Tyler Fish was talking about. But are you talking about? Oh yes, Kurt Angle. Tyler, yes. Kurt Angle was kind of like in WWE when I was watching it, and he was in there. He was kind of like the Colby Covington, who was just fucking annoying, and everything he said was annoying. But you know, that's kind of do not bet on this fight. Oh, got you. Why you say that, Tyler? Though I'm interested. Oh, because you said do not get on a Del Valle fight, and so I was. Yeah, he's undefeated. Is that why? Undefeated, and against Jordan Levitt, I don't know that Levitt has what it takes to beat somebody like Del Valle. I don't think it's worth it, and I think, yeah, he's a -400 heavy favorite, so you wouldn't want to bet on that anyway. So maybe that's what you're talking about. But like I said, Levitt is 12-3, and I think he's 5-3 in the UFC, coming off a win over Kurt Holobaugh, first round submission where he got a performance of the night bonus. Del Valle was in the betting scandal. Oh, I forgot about that too. But he was he wasn't the guy involved in the way that he was supposed to lose or anything, right? If I remember correctly, he was the opponent of the guy that got dropped because they found out he was involved in all that. So I guess you never know, but yeah, who really knows exactly? Exactly. It sucks for the person. It sucks for the person that seems innocent to be involved in any of that, because yeah, then you have people wondering if they should even deal with you in any certain way. So, but Del Valle is still undefeated regardless. He's 2-0 in the UFC, has wins over Connor Matthews, and Isaac Delgarian was the one that got cut because of the scandal. Both first round finishes, though, I will say that, and they're both submission finishes, both rear naked chokes as well. Gordon Levitt, though, is one of those guys that can fight on the ground and has good submissions of his own. So he's got 7 wins by submission and 2 losses there. So he has lost by submission, but Del Valle has wins by submission, and 2 of those, the only 2 wins in his UFC career, have been by submission. So we'll see. We might see some groundwork happening in this one, and it's probably going to be pretty exciting considering these 2 guys. It's crazy how people thought Levitt was gay when he was a whole family. Oh man.
Hey, no Diddy, man, no Diddy.
Yeah, it's because of how he conducted himself. I mean, it's pretty obvious to see. He acts a little zesty. But you know, I don't know. Maybe he's just one of those guys that is okay. Doesn't care how he looks. But I mean, he's twerking on people and shit. You have seen that down in the A. What are you talking about? Do you think Levitt gets oh my god. Holy shit. Oh man.
That's nasty.
So this should be an interesting one. I think it's gonna be it's probably gonna be a lot of groundwork but I think we could have some fun transitions and submission attempts and probably see a submission in this one. So oh, I got you, Infinity. In the okay, I was thinking I got mixed up on what you were saying because I just read it real quick and I was like, what? Anyway, moving on. We got Phil Rowe submission from Levitt.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Oh man.
Another one.
Oh shit. Next up we got Phil Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebosniani. Fuck, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but we'll call him Jean-Paul. Is 9-2. Phil Rowe 11-6, happening in the welterweight division. And I mean, when it comes down to it, Rowe, what can he's got good, he works the range well, I guess you could say, while Jean-Paul is like he's more aggressive and more like pushing forward all the time and trying to close the distance. So I mean, I think there's going to be some like tactical kind of stand up going on in this, you know, maybe some possible takedown attempts that there'll be some scrambles taken off of, see who gets out of it with Rowe just isn't that durable. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. John Paul's 9-0. It's his UFC debut versus Rowe, who is 4-4 in the UFC, and I think Rowe is coming off a loss to Seo Kyung Ko. That was a unanimous decision loss for him, but before that he had a win over Angelo, so that was a pretty good win, a TKO by punches in the third round. But he's lost to, you know, like Jake Matthews, Neil Magny. All of his everything's by decision though. He hasn't really been finished that much. He's got one TKO loss, no submission losses, but he's lost every decision he's been in, and that's what's interesting about that. So, and we're looking at Jean Paul, who is making his UFC debut, and he was 7-1 in LFA, fought in the Contender Series where he got a TKO win in the first round in the Contender Series. So, you know, he's coming in there. He's had 3 out of his 4 last fights were all finishes in the first round. So this could be interesting. It could get interesting quick. And Phil Rowe not being that durable, like Tyler Fish says, if that's correct, then we might see an early stoppage by the UFC debut of Jean-Paul Lebosniani. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, moving on, we got Ramiz Brahimaj versus Punahele Soriano. This one could be interesting as well. A lot of welterweight fights going on here on this card. Brahimaj, I mean, they're both kind of finishers, right? Brahimaj has all stoppages on his wins on his record, and I mean, he's pretty aggressive as well. Soriano, he's been doing better since he dropped to welterweight, and has gotten some, you know, thrown a lot of big strikes that are landing well, and he's doing well in this weight class. You know, there's definitely a potential for a finish on this card. I mean, on this fight from either one of these guys, really, because they're both pretty aggressive. And but Soriano is on a 3-fight win streak with 2 decisions and a TKO, both unanimous decisions though, and he's beat Miguel Beza, Uros Medic, and Nikolai Veretennikov. So those last 2 wins are pretty good. He TKO'd Medic in the first round, 31 seconds in, and Uros Medic is actually fighting on this card as well. His last loss, there was 2 in a row before that 3-fight win streak, where he lost to Dustin Stoltzfus by sub and Roman Kopylov by TKO in the second round. remember when that was Brahimaj, when Brahimaj's ear got cut off during the Max Griffin fight. Yeah, that shit was nasty. Soriano looked pretty decent in his last fight. Yeah, he did, and against Veritenikov for sure. And then he finished Uros Medic before that. So there's definitely potential here for a really good fight. I always like watching Soriano fight for sure. And Brahimaj, yeah, that ear thing was nasty. But he's just one of those guys that's aggressive and pushes forward. He beat Austin Vanderford, who was supposed to be on this card, but it got canceled from, I don't actually know why. But he was supposed to be on this card, but he beat Austin Vanderford by submission in his last fight in October of last year. He beat Billy Ray Goff before that with a performance of the night bonus in the first round with a submission there. So his last 2 wins have been off a guillotine choke, and then he beat Mickey Gall before that by TKO, where he got another performance of the night bonus, and that was another first round finish there. So he does get things finished early. He's aggressive. He can do it on the ground or standing up, and I think this is a good matchup against Soriano. So definitely don't miss that one. We'll move on to the next set of prelims, and it starts off with the women again. We got Nora Cornelli versus Jocelyn Edwards. Jocelyn Edwards is one of those girls that didn't look that good in the beginning, but it seems like she's definitely gained some momentum, and I feel like she's gotten a little bit better than she was at first. It seemed like she kind of started off a little bit strong and then just kind of fell off and seemed really like low fight IQ, and then has made her way back to doing a bit better. And I think that she's got a little bit of momentum behind her. She likes to mix up the pressure with the clinch work and throws a lot of volume. So I believe, hold on, I believe that these two have fought before. Is that right? Yeah, they did. They fought before. Jocelyn Edwards won by unanimous decision. That was back in September of 2023. So she's now on a 3-fight win streak because all finishes is what I don't know what I got mixed up there. Anyway, she's on a 3-fight win streak. All finishes, 2 in the first round, which were her last 2 fights. The last fight of hers got a performance of the night bonus with the win over Priscilla Cacciaretta, and she beat Chelsea Chandler as well in the first round by TKO. And then she submitted Tamiris Vidal in the 3rd round, but she missed weight in that fight. But she seems to be on a better path now, and she's on a 3-fight win streak. So this should be pretty interesting. And the fact that she's beat Nora Cornelli before also makes it interesting. But Cornelli is 3-2 in the UFC. She's coming off a loss to Carol Rosa by unanimous decision in August of last year. And she's kind of been on a win-loss type of streak since she's been in the UFC. Wait a minute. I had it backwards. I think I said it wrong. Cornelli beat Edwards. Is that what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what. Okay, yeah, I messed that up. I think I was saying Edwards beat. I was looking right at it too. I don't know why. Hold on. Yeah, no, I saw that wrong. Did I say that? Okay, I did. Anyway, Edwards lost to Cornelli. Oh my God. Woo! I got Edwards. She improved so much by training with Valentina. Yeah, for sure. And that's why I think she's definitely looked. She's evolved a little bit, and but it's probably due to with Valentina. Carlos Ayala back. Damn, I didn't even know he didn't get slimed out by Silicon last time. Yeah, I know that one's tough. But yeah, my bad. Nora Cornelli beat Edwards. So Cornelli is coming in knowing she beat Edwards, and that could make a difference here. It was by unanimous decision though. So we'll see. This should be an interesting fight with the backstory and all that stuff. And Jocelyn Edwards seeming to get more. I do Infinity shit. I got all twisted up there. I was on a roll doing just fine, and then I did that. My eyes played tricks on me. Damn, getting old. Anyway, moving on, we got Alden Correa versus Luis Guru, and this should be an interesting one. Guru is 0-2 in the UFC though, against Correa, who is 1-0. So I mean, Guru, he's one of those guys that looks like he's gonna do well just by the way he comes out, but he just, all of a sudden, it just doesn't look right after a few minutes of the fight. Korea is he's got good boxing and grappling, and has finishes multiple ways, but Guru is it just seems like he hasn't been able to find his rhythm in the UFC. He was 10-0 in the regional scene, but so now he kind of has the pressure because you lose 3 in a row being a guy, and you lose your first 3 in the UFC that you even get to fight. That's gonna look bad on you, and a lot of times after 3, what happens after 3 losses in a row. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. But yeah, so it's just one of those things that yeah, he definitely needs to get a win here, because it's going to look bad for him to go 0-3 in his only 3 fights in the UFC after having a 10-0 career before he got there. Maybe he jumped too fast. Either way, Korea is looking to do the opposite and become 2-0 in the UFC and continue on the winning path since he got there. So that should be an interesting one. Next up, we got Ode Osborne versus Alibi Idris, and I think this will be an interesting fight as well. Ode Osborne has been active as hell on TikTok. I'm not sure how many of you are on TikTok, but he goes live constantly on TikTok, and he talks to fans. You can actually request to jump in on his lives, and he talks about everything. So he makes a lot of crazy videos on Instagram too. It's kind of weird. I didn't even know he was that active on there, but yeah, he's all over the place on social media. He definitely seems like he's locked in and ready to go for this fight. And he seems pretty confident, which, I mean, of course he's going to, but yeah, just from what I've heard from him, I think Ode can win this. He's still UFC caliber. Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think he's fallen off too hard. He's 13-9 in overall. 5-7 in the UFC is tough, but I know he's been in some battles. So his last 3 fights, he's 1-2, but his 2 losses are by decision. He got a performance of the night bonus against he beat Guru before. How come I didn't fucking remember that one? Do you think Liao will have less acne than usual? I don't know. Hold on. I'm looking here. So yeah, they fought each other already. I'm sorry, they didn't fight each other. Guru fought Ode, and that's what I was saying. Okay, that's what it is. So that he's one of his 2 losses. So, but that's one of only one of Ode's wins in a minute. He hasn't won besides that since 2023, where he got a split decision over Charles Johnson. So he has a lot of losses here recently, but I do think that he's got some skills that he can bounce back. But yeah, it's gonna be tough against Idris, who's 10-1, and he 0-1 in the UFC. So, but he lost to an undefeated guy by submission in the 2nd round. Before that, he was on a big win streak, and he looked pretty good. But maybe he goes down the path that Guru did, and maybe Ode helps him get there with the fact that he beat Guru who was in the similar position, coming in 10-0, and then loses his first UFC fight. Osborne might be that poison that gets in you and doesn't allow you to win any more UFC fights. Who knows? That's an interesting thing there with those 2, but that should be a good fight. I think he has the best hand speed at flyweight. He is fast as hell, that's for sure. At flyweight, a lot of those guys are fast, so that's something to say when you definitely want to point him out for being fast. And then we got Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. As Tyler was saying, Carlos Leal didn't look so good in his previous fights. His last one, especially against Muslim Selikov, where he got TKO'd in the first round, 42 seconds in against Muslim Selikov. He beat Alex Morono before that, but everyone's beaten Alex Morono at this point, and he lost to Hanat Fakhrdinov before that. So, you know, the way he looked in his last fight makes it tough. He's 1-2 in the UFC, and he's a lot older too. No, he's not a lot older. He's only 31. He looks fucking way older than that. I thought he was older than that, especially with what I heard about someone else talking about him on another podcast. I think it might have been Anik and Florian or something, but they made it sound like he was old as shit. But he does look older. But Chidi Njokuani, he's the older guy who's 37, but he's 5-4 in the UFC. He is coming off a loss to Jake Matthews, where he got submitted by rear naked choke in the first round. But he was on a 3-fight win streak before that, 2 of those by decision and 1, which was his last win, against Elizu Zaleski, where he won by TKO in the second round. So both these guys coming off a loss, looking to bounce back in the win column. I think Njokuani's probably one to look at for this one, even though it looks like Leal is a slight favorite according to Tapology, which is strange to me. I'm not sure. But look at the amount of fights these guys have. 25-11 for Njokuani, which he is 37 years old, so I get that. But Leal is only 31, and he's got 22-7 for his record. So it's pretty crazy. But those are your prelim matchups. Let's move into the main card. And we start with Zach Reese versus Michel Pereira. Do you think Chidi increased his prime by moving down in weight? Oof, I don't know, because, you know, the weight cuts and stuff, man, when you get older, that's tough. I think sometimes it's more beneficial to move up in weight. That's what you usually see. But I mean, if he's able to make the weight decently, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't really. That's tough to say. I really don't know. I guess we'll just see if he can bounce back from this loss and get on another win streak. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough one to say, honestly. I think I saw that he missed weight like 2 fights ago. Let me see. No, his last win against Zaleski, he missed weight. So, but then he made weight for the loss. So maybe that's telling, you know, if the weight cuts get into him. He missed weight for the first one and won, and then he makes the weight but comes back and loses. So that might be something to pay attention to there. But who knows? Anyway, now we're at the main card. Zach Reese versus Michel Pereira. Starting it off at light heavyweight. As we can see, Reese 10-2 overall, 4-2 in the UFC. Pereira is the guy that used to do the flips and land on his opponents and stuff like that, which is hilarious, but also kind of stupid. It did nothing for him ever except for make him look flashy. So he doesn't really do a whole lot of that anymore. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, because he's on a 3-fight losing streak while Zach Reese is on a 2-fight win streak. He's never lost by decision, never lost by submission, and is 5-2 by KO TKO for Zach Reese. And Pereira 11-8 by decision, 8-1 by sub, and 11-3 by KO TKO. 9-5 in the UFC. And on a 3-fight losing streak, that's tough, man. How much longer does Chidi have at this level? I don't know, man. To be honest with you, Chidi Njokuani is one of those guys that I used to pay a lot more attention to, and I just feel like there's just something about him that doesn't grasp my attention except for his name. Did Pereira just lose in like 30 seconds? You mean like in his last fight? Let me look. I was actually getting to that. 43 seconds to Kyle Dawkins in the first round. Yeah, so he's on a 3-fight losing streak. His other 2 losses were against Abus Magomedov by decision, and then Fluffy Hernandez by TKO, who's the main event of this card. So yeah, so it's tough for Michel Pereira, especially fighting somebody like Zach Reese, who seems to have a little more in the tank these days than Pereira does. He's coming off a win over Jackson McVeigh by rear naked choke in the second round. Got a performance of the night bonus on that one. Before that, he had the no contest with Cedric Dumas, which is dumb. And then Dusko Todorovic was his other win by unanimous decision. So 2 acceptable losses and 1 that doesn't look the best, but not horrible, I guess. For Pineda, oh yeah. Yeah, but fuck, man. Yeah, it's just tough for him, man. I don't know. I just feel like he hasn't looked like the explosive like fighter that he was in the past, and I know that has a lot to do with the fact that he was doing the crazy flipping around and shit. But I mean, he also had some decent moments, and now it just seems like he's kind of hasn't really done a ton. So that's what makes it tough, especially against somebody like Zach Reese, who looks like, you know, he might have trouble with the higher level guys, but somebody that's on a 3-fight losing streak might be a little bit of a better matchup for him at the moment, while he's still making his way up against Abus. He looked gas in the first 30 seconds. Yeah. So yeah, this one's looking more leaning in the direction of Zach Reese, as far as I'm concerned. Hold on. What the hell just happened here? Oh, there we go. Let's see, what else did I think yeah, I pretty much covered everything I had there. I guess the only other thing, I guess the bad part for Reese is that he gets a little over aggressive sometimes, but I think that he can be a little more explosive, that might be able to overwhelm Pineda and not allow him to, you know, if Reese settles in, I think he's going to be able to get the best of Pineda and not let Pineda be like too sneaky in his attacks. And I just think Reese has the upper hand here, especially with the way that Pineda's last few fights have gone. I think it might be he might have to overcome some adversity in his own brain before he even gets out there. So it could be tough, unless it makes him super hungry, and then that might actually work in his favor. But I think it could be a very boring fight, or it could be an exciting fight. I don't know that it'll be anything in between, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So moving on to Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell. And Josiah Harrell is or Harrell. I'm sorry, what was I saying? Harrell? It's Harrell. I think it's Harrell. Anyway, the Combat Sports Today just interviewed him not that long ago. So yeah, he's gonna be fighting Jacoby Smith. And I think this was, let me take a look, because I think this was, yeah, Smith was supposed to fight Seo Hyun Ko, and Ko dropped out with a rib injury. So Harrell jumps in as a late replacement against Jacoby Smith. How big of an underdog is he? Harrell? I don't know why I want to say his name that way. Let me look what it says here. They don't have it. Oh yeah, they must not have got the odds in yet on this one, because it's not giving me any odds. But Jacoby Smith is 11-0 overall, 2-0 in the UFC, 8 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub, and 2 by decision. He's on a 2-fight win streak. I only put that down. It's 11, obviously, but I only put down the UFC record if they've been in the UFC before. They both are basically on an 11-fight win streak, because they're both 11-0 in MMA overall. Harold is 6-0 by KO TKO, 4-0 by sub, and 1-0 by decision. Damn, well, I was gonna say that a sprinkle on Harold isn't a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think it is a bad idea. I know Jacoby Smith is a great fighter. Obviously, he's only got 2 fights in the UFC, and he's won them both, and he's finished them both. One a TKO in the first round in his first fight in the UFC, and then a submission in the second round over Nico Price, of all people. And he won his Contender Series fight by TKO as well in the second round. So he's a finisher for sure. He's got some decisions. He's only got 2 decisions on his record. Everything else is a TKO, and then a few subs sprinkled in. 1 sub sprinkled in, which is his last fight. So he's definitely one of those guys that could make a fight exciting because he's always finishing fights. Harrell had a TKO in his last fight in the 3rd round. Let's see, decision, submission, TKO. Damn, he's a finisher too. He's only got 3 decisions on his record, so that's only 1 more than Smith. And he finishes a lot later in the rounds, though. A lot of 2nd round, 3rd round finishes, but he's got a lot of finishes. So this could actually be a really good, interesting fight, considering their records and the fact that, you know, they kind of have similar numbers in all of the categories. So I mean, this looks like a hell of a fight on paper. And I don't know, shit, I don't even know who I would go for here. Maybe Jacoby Smith, having the experience in the cage and fighting in the UFC before, might be something that gives him the upper hand in this fight. And because, you know, you got somebody making their UFC debut kind of on a last minute call in, the nerves can get to you, the UFC jitters, you know, the octagon jitters, I should say. And you know, the UFC is just a whole different type of production. So sometimes the guys can lose the fight on their way walking out because they get intimidated or overwhelmed, and it throws them off their game. So but then you get the guys that can overcome all that shit or feed off of all of it and wind up coming out there and being super impressive to beat another undefeated guy who's been in the UFC for a couple fights and hasn't lost yet, and gets overwhelmed by somebody making their debut. That happens as well. So it's a toss-up, and I feel like it's a toss-up in a good way, because we could definitely get a great fight out of this one. So I'll be looking forward to this fight for sure. Next up, we have Sergey Jacoby looked beatable against Nico Price. Okay, well, I haven't seen much from Harrell, so that's why I think it's kind of one of those, you know, mysterious type ones where I'm not exactly sure which way it's going to go, but that's a good thing, because I feel like that's what's going to make it a great fight. But we move on to the heavyweight division with Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delia. And with Delia having I'd be very surprised if Delia loses this. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that too, because Spivak is one of those guys that just, it seems like he should be better, but he just seems to drop fights that he should win. But Delia, you know, lost that last fight to Waldo Cortez Acosta. You know, the eye pokes played a part, obviously, but he still, you know, landed some great shots on Acosta, and I mean, he still did. I don't know how I want to say it, because you kind of look at the eye pokes and it sucks. And the fact that him and Tybura just can't get. Oh yeah, Tybura too. Jesus. But the eye poke thing, you know, it was such a intrusive thing that happened. Obviously, that it's a foul, obviously, so that's his fault. He shouldn't have done it, regardless of whether it was unintentional or intentional. It's something that just can't happen. And the disruption of the fight is something that can throw somebody off, either in a good way or in a bad way. And in a good way, meaning you were doing horribly and it gave you a chance to collect your shit and come out there and step up. And that's kind of what Waldo did. And for Delia, he's over there riding the high thinking he just won the fight. And instead, it's actually called a pause in action. They go to the replay and find out, you know, that they can restart the fight for some reason after doing a replay. I don't know. But that's all disruptive shit. And I feel like Delia was on a roll. And then he was taken off of that and had to just jump in there, and then he jumps in there and the first strike thrown at him knocks him out. So it's a tough to really blame him for that, especially with what he had going on before, where he was on a two fight win streak, both first round finishes by TKO, and it would have been another one had the fight ended with Waldo Cortez Acosta. But yeah, it seems like he loses by TKO or wins by TKO in the first round of almost every fight. So Delia is going to come out there quick, and I think that's what's going to wind up overcoming Sergey Spivak. He's never been finished on the ground. And it doesn't look like Delia is looking to get it on the ground, so that's a plus for Spivak. But Spivak isn't the best on the feet either. I hate to say it, but he is on a 2-fight losing streak, and he lost decision to Waldo Cortez Acosta as well, and then lost a TKO to Jalton Almeida. Have Delia and Kuniev fought outside the UFC? That's a great question. I have no idea. Hold on. I could tell you in just a second. Doesn't look like it. Looks like Delia fought Tybura in M1, but I don't see anything about Kuniev, so I don't think so. Who's the best belt to win? What's the best belt to win outside of the UFC? I don't know. Yeah, that's not a bad call, Tyler. Best belt to win outside of the UFC? I don't think there really is one right now. I don't think anybody holds any weight for any title. Maybe the PFL, just because they might be the second most recognized. Like, which belt holds the most weight? CFFC. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's different. I would say up at this level, if you don't win the UFC title, I think the most other recognizable ones, maybe one or PFL, but and then you can start looking at other organizations like Octagon or CFFC, but KSW, sure. Oh my god. I did see that, but fuck ASU. The one championship belts are pretty cool, yeah, but I don't know. None of them really hold a lot of weight to the UFC belt. But I mean, if you come into the UFC, if you come into the UFC with you know, having won a championship anywhere else, that's something that can be talked about. And especially if you're a multiple time champion or a long reigning champion in another organization, the way that Ben Askren was, the way that RDR was, you know, stuff like that, that holds a lot of weight when you come in, just because they can, you know, say this champion versus that champion type shit. But that doesn't really hold a lot of weight when you think about it side by side, and who do you think is better? It's always going to be the UFC. So, but outside the UFC, it's tough to say. There's no clear second at this point. Holding a championship holds a little bit of weight all around, I guess. Like Manel Kopp was the Ryzen flyweight champion and fought the 5th ranked guy in Pantoja. Yeah, I mean, again, I think just being a champion in any other organization holds a certain type of weight. But yeah, I mean, everybody wants to know if you were a UFC fighter and if you won the UFC belt. That's kind of how it goes. If you think about the mainstream version of things, if you think about the hardcore version, everyone's gonna have their different opinions and it gets a little messy. But for me, I don't have a clear second, so that's just me though. But as far as Spivak versus Delia goes, I think Spivak's gonna have trouble with Delia, especially after him, you know, coming off that loss to Cortez Acosta. They both are coming off of losses to Waldo. So, but I think with Delia coming off that loss the way he did, and the way that shit went down, I think he's gonna definitely be looking to get back in there and do some big damage and be impressive after losing that fight. And Spivak, I'm not sure he can keep up with what Delia has to put out there for him. I think Spivak has crazy, you know, height, and I mean, no, he's not even that tall. What am I talking about? I'm thinking of fucking, I can't even remember at this point, but I felt like Spivak was taller. Am I thinking of whatever? I'm thinking of another Sergey, I think. That's why I was confused. I'm just looking over my notes. Yeah, there's nothing else. Anyway, Delia, I feel like, is going to be the one that gets the win here. But that's just my thought on this one. I've never been big on Spivak. He just hasn't been that impressive to me. But it is what it is. We'll move on. Go to Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa. This should be an exciting fight. Just for the matchup that it is. Dan Ige, 50K Ige, because he's gotten so many bonuses, even though now they're 100K. Makes it a little different. But I don't know what that's going to do for his nickname. But he was nicknamed that, gave that nickname to himself because he's winning a bunch of bonuses, which means you get some exciting fights out of him. A lot of finishes and whatnot. But Melquizael Costa is on a 5-fight win streak while Dan Ige is coming off a loss. But that is a loss to that is a loss that was a last minute replacement fight for him, if I remember correctly. Let me take a look real fast. And oh no, that was Patricio Pitbull. I'm thinking of, what fight am I thinking of? Damn, that's right, I forgot he lost to Pitbull. He looked good against Sean Woodson in the last fight, though. That was the one I was kind of thinking of for his last fight. I kind of blocked out that Pitbull loss. I totally forgot Danny was the one that lost to Pitbull. But Sean Woodson was the third round finish against him. That was his last win. He lost to Lerone Murphy by unanimous decision, but that's a tough fight to get taken to unanimous. Let's go, Milky. Yeah, I Costa's on a roll, man. Both these guys have a lot of fights, especially Costa for being 29. He's 25-7. It's crazy. Dan Ige's never been finished though. He's only lost 10 fights by I say only, but he's only lost by decision. He's 7-10 by decision. That is so crazy. So he definitely does not want to have these fights go to the judges because he tends to lose those fights. But he's 7-0 by KO TKO, 5-0 by sub. Costa's on a 5-fight win streak, 9-3 by decision, 8-2 by 8-2 on both KO TKO and subs, 6-2 in the UFC. He's been on this roll that has looked damn good. While you don't really expect too much out of him at first, he surprises you for sure. He's got 3 finishes and 2 decisions in his last 5 fights. One of those decisions was against Julian Erosa, where he got a fight of the night bonus. He TKO'd Morgan Charrier in his last fight in the first round. He beat Andre Fili in the first round as well by submission, and Norden Becky by submission in the third round. The last loss he had was in 2023 against Steve Garcia, which is a tough opponent, so he got TKO'd in the second round. So Melquizael Costa is 100% the favorite here, without a doubt. For good reason, with that 5-fight win streak and just what he's been able to do in those 5 fights. But Dan Ige is one of those guys you can't ever count out. It looks like Costa is the -220 favorite against Ige, who is a +170. But you can't ever count Dan Ige out. I feel like he can do enough damage to win a fight, and he's definitely a fun guy to watch fight as well. Just had some bad luck in his recent fights, but still has a finish in between those 2 losses. So Melquizael Costa is tough though, and he's got great submissions and is on a roll right now. So Ige's gonna have to try to watch out for getting on the ground, even though he's never been finished in a fight. This might be his first time if he slips up against Costa. So it's gonna be an interesting one, and I'm excited to see this fight. And that brings us to the co-main event, which is Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic, who I talked about earlier. Jeff Neal 10-2 by KO TKO, 2-2 by sub, 4-3 by decision. He's 8-5 in the UFC and coming off a loss, while Medic is coming off a 2-fight win streak, 0-0 by decision, 2-2 by sub, and 10-1 by KO TKO. Look at those numbers at KO TKO. That's what I like to see. 10-2 for Jeff Neal, 10-1 for Uros Medic. Double digits by KO TKO means we could have a fun fight on our hands. Like I like Dan. Like I think Dan would have been great at bantamweight. Dan. Oh, Ige. Okay, I was like, Dan. I had already moved on. But yeah, I mean, he could have been for sure. Maybe the cut though, he just maybe doesn't like that cut. I'm not sure. But as far as this fight goes, This one could definitely be fun on the feet, considering the amount of KO TKOs they both have. They have the similar record by submission as well. Medic doesn't like to go to decision. Win or lose, the fight's getting finished. So that's something else that you can take a look at and pay attention to, considering those records. But let me take a look at Jeff Neal's record. I always remember Jeff Neal by the Shavkat Rakhmonov submission, that the standing rear naked choke, where it looked like he was the little kid getting bullied in the schoolyard, which was tough. And then after that, he lost a split decision to Ian Machado Gary. He beat Rafael Dos Anjos and then lost to Carlos Prates. He was the one that got spinning back elbowed by Prates in his last fight. So he's definitely looking to bounce back from a nasty knockout loss like that and try to get a win over Uros Medic, who is on a win streak currently. And that is, what was that, a 2-fight win streak? He's 6-3 in the UFC. Yeah, 2-fight win streak, both by TKO, both in the first round for Medic. So Jeff Neal can find himself in some trouble again early, the way he did against Prates, if he's not careful against Uros Medic. That straight left seems to be the way he gets people, whether it's the first punch to end to then be followed up for a finish, or else what that straight left is the finishing punch. That's how his last 2 fights have gone. Muslim Selikov was his last fight, and then Gilbert Urbina before that. So 3 fights last year, he went 1-2. He lost to Punahele Soriano, who is on this card as well, by TKO in the first round. Like I said, win or lose, it's getting a finish, and it's happening early. So this could definitely be a great co-main event to lead us into the main event, which I feel like should be a great fight as well. Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Man, Hernandez on an 8-fight win streak. I mean, it's hard to just look past that alone. But Sean Strickland, being a former champion, he didn't defend, but he was a champ. He did beat Izzy. And while that was tough to watch, because I hated seeing Sean being able to win against someone like Izzy, it is what it is, and that is what happened. So Sean Strickland's 29-7 overall, 16-7 in the UFC, 11-2 by KO TKO, 4-0 by sub, which is impressive considering, some of the competition he's fought. But Fluffy is definitely good on the ground with those 9 wins by submission. And Sean Strickland's won most of his fights by decision, only edging it out by 3 over his KO TKOs. But that is still something. It's either a finish on the feet or a decision for him, because he's never lost by submission. Did you see Jeff was struggling with some personal stuff? It was a great interview. Yeah, he's had a bunch of things go on in his life, man. His story is really crazy, so you could take a look at that. I know he overcame some drug issues and other stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that's happened throughout his entire life, and it seems like it hasn't fully surpassed him yet, having those crazy issues. So but hopefully everything gets better for him, and he's able to just keep focusing on fighting, because he's a good fighter. It's just has trouble when it comes to the upper echelon. But Sean Strickland beat Izzy, comes back and loses to Dricus Du Plessis, especially with all the shit talk, man. That was a bad look for him. It was a split decision loss, but he did lose. He had 3 performance of the night, or fight of the night bonus and performance of the night bonuses in a row, between 23 and 24, and then he lost to Dricus. Still got fight of the night. Beat Paulo Costa by split decision, and then lost to Dricus again when he fought for the belt again back in February of last year. So he's coming off a loss. It's been over a year now since he's fought. So Sean's looking to get in there and get a win over a tough opponent, though, in Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. That name is funny, but man, he's no joke. 8 wins in a row after going 1-2 in the UFC. He lost one, won one, lost one, and then went on the 8-fight win streak, starting with a win over Rodolfo Vieira by submission with a performance of the night bonus, and just kept going. Lots of finishes, a lot of submissions, some TKOs, and a couple decisions in there. But yeah, he's able to finish fights. He's got a lot of performance of the night and fight of the night bonuses. Actually, all performance of the night bonuses, especially in his last 3 fights. He's gotten 2 out of the 3. Both finishes, 1 TKO over Michel Pereira, who's on this card as well. And then he submitted Roman Dolidze in his last fight by rear naked choke in the 4th round, where he got a performance of the night bonus for that one as well back in August of last year. So with all of those submission finishes and performance bonuses and stuff like that, it definitely leaves itself out there for a good fight between him and Strickland, and gives him a good chance to win against Sean Strickland, considering Strickland is usually a guy who stays on the feet or, you know, finishes by decision, as he's never been submitted, but that doesn't mean that he can't get submitted now. Fluffy is the favorite, minus 250, while Sean Strickland is a plus 210 underdog. I mean, I know that Sean Strickland has underrated grappling and wrestling skills, but he doesn't tend to use them a bunch. Main card just started. I definitely want to see what happens with that, Tyler. So I'll either be, if I don't watch it, I'll definitely be looking for the highlights or the outcome. Do you think Anthony was a real chance to beat Khamzat? I think he's an interesting fight for Khamzat for sure, especially with the way that he fought Dricus. I think that Fluffy has the right amount of both sides of the game to give Khamzat a hard time. Whether or not he can truly beat him, I don't know, because Khamzat is just a different type of animal. But we saw a little something different out of him with that Dricus fight, and then the way that he fought Usman as well. I think Anthony Hernandez can do a little bit of what Usman was doing, but better and even more. That'll give Khamzat a hard time, and I think that he could definitely be one of his toughest opponents. So I want to see him get a really big decisive win over Sean Strickland, and I think that'll put him in line to definitely get a title shot soon, if not next. And I think that it'll show that he has a great chance of having a great fight with Khamzat, if not beating him. So I think it'll be interesting, but I definitely think that Sean Strickland's going to put up a good fight, unless this time away has really hindered him. But he seems like he's back to his old ways, doing everything, all the craziness, the talk, the bullshit. So we'll see if that translates into him being great in the cage, and if so, he's going to give Hernandez a tough time if he's the Sean Strickland of old. But if he shows any of those weaknesses that he's shown in the recent past, I think he's going to have a hard time with Fluffy, and Fluffy's going to get a big win here. And that's what I would love to see, and that's what I'm looking out for. So let's take a look at what the Fight Wheel has for predictions this week, and then we'll get out of here. So last fight card 2 weeks ago, we went 3-3. So not great, but not horrible. So we're looking for the Fight Wheel to do a little better this time. It went 3-2 for the 2 first cards of the year, and then goes 3-3 for this one. So let me get in here and clear this out and get ready for the new names to be inputted. And then let me open up this wheel and start spinning. We'll get the Fight Wheel predictions out of the way, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we go with the first Fight Wheel prediction for UFC Houston, Strickland versus Hernandez. And we got that fight being given to us right away. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez to beat Sean Strickland in the main event. I'm just going to write Fluffy because we all know who that is. And that's a damn good pick, if you ask me, by the Fight Wheel. And I think that it's going to be a correct one. So let's hope for that. Let's go. We get the main event out of the way right away. So we got, 5 more fights for the Fight Wheel to predict. And next we go Uros Medic to beat Jeff Neal, right? In the co-main event. Damn, we're going from the top to the bottom, and that pretty much makes sense if you look at their records and look at what Medic has done in the past as opposed to Jeff Neal recently. So that might be 2 for 2 so far. He still has a win over Imavov. Does Sean fight Hamzat if he wins here? I don't know if Sean gets that right away, to be honest with you. That one's tough to say, but I don't know that he gets it right away. But you never know because he's a former champ. Who knows? 2 down, 4 to go for the fight wheel predictions. To me personally, I think he should win one more, but beating Fluffy, that makes it tough to deny. So the first fight of the night, Zachary Reese to beat Michelle Pereira. So once again, the fight wheel seems to be on it as far as the picks go and how they look on paper. Imavov is next no matter what. That's probably right. I don't know that that's why I don't know that I see Strickland getting it over Imavov, but you never know. The UFC does some weird shit. All right, halfway through, Fluffy and Medic and Reese so far to get the wins. Next we got Melquizel Costa to beat Dan Ige. Continuing on from the top to the bottom, the fight wheel is going in order, and it's looking to be correct all the way through so far as what we talked about, because Costa has a really good chance at beating Dan Ige, especially with that streak that he's on. Let's get down to the last 2 fights. Will the fight will continue? If so, it'll be Sergey Spivak next versus Antidelia, which it is. That's kind of crazy. And Antidelia to win against Spivak once again. I think that's probably a correct pick. So man, this fight wheel's on fire right now. Delia. And then here's your last one. Do you think Costa can rise like Diego Lopez did? I think he has potential to. Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell. Jacoby Smith to win. He's 2-0 in the UFC. They're both 11-0. So that's not a bad shout either. Definite possibility there, but the debuting fighter might come in hungry enough to take that from the established guy in the UFC. So that's a tough one. That's about the only one I'm a little bit worried about, but the rest of these look like pretty good fucking picks to me. We got Fluffy Hernandez beating Sean Strickland in the main event. Co-main, Euros Medic versus Jeff Neal. Medic to win according to the fight wheel. Zachary Reese. Oh, I guess it didn't go in order. That was the first fight of the night. That was the only one out of order. My bad. Zachary Reese versus Michelle Pereira. Reese to win that one. Melquizel Costa to beat Dan Ige. Antidelia to beat Sergey Spivak, and then Jacoby Smith to beat Josiah Harrell. Those are your fight wheel predictions for UFC Houston. Do you think if Strickland wins, he beat Imavov, Allen, Fluffy, Adesanya, Costa, Hermanson, Abus, he will for sure skip Imavov for the title. Imavov is fighting after the vacant title when Hamzat moves up. Okay. Joshua delivery driver. Damn. Yeah, I mean that's a good point, but the thing with Strickland is he didn't defend that title. I don't know if the UFC does whatever the fuck they want, and yeah, Imavov is supposed to have been next and probably should be next. I don't know. I think it'd be a tough pick for them between Strickland and fucking, because Strickland can't shut his mouth, and while the UFC doesn't seem to care, I don't know if they I think he has to get a big win against Fluffy. I think if he just gets like a decision win, I don't know that does it for him. How do you think Prime Usman versus Fluffy would go? Ooh, that's man, that's an interesting question. I think Fluffy is a little more well-rounded than Usman, but because we know Usman was, how he was in the past, because we already know what he's done, and the fact that he was a champ for a little bit, I think it makes it tougher because we haven't, like, we've seen Fluffy, but he didn't rise the way that Usman did. So maybe because of the popularity and stuff, it's harder to say. Strictly skill-wise, though, I think it would be a tough fight for Fluffy in Usman's prime. But I think Fluffy might catch him with some strikes. And actually, I think he'd probably be slick enough to maneuver into some submissions to be able to beat Usman. So I think there's a slight possibility he could beat Usman in his prime. I think Prime Kamaru is one of the greatest fighters ever. I mean, I don't disagree, but I don't think that he's unbeatable completely, even in his prime. I think the way he got beat helped his him kind of look like he's extra beatable because he came back and didn't seem to be able to overcome that right away. But yeah, it's Kamaru Usman's a tough one, man. He was great in his prime, and that doesn't, so you can't take anything away from that for sure. So yeah, it's just one of the same debates that always come up. It's like, and I know they're fun to talk about, but for me, it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, we've been over this, we've done this, we talk about this all the time, and there's no true answer for it. So I don't know. I always feel like it's an empty kind of conversation to a certain extent, but I don't mind having it because it does make me think a little deeper into things. So I guess in a sense, it doesn't really matter. I just think about it from both sides. Strickland already beat Imavov 49-46. Yeah, that doesn't always matter though. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong whatsoever. I could definitely see Strickland surpassing him, especially when you look at that, the way that all that went down. But it's just, how's he gonna look? Let's get past Fluffy first and see what happens, because that's gonna be a tough fight for him, I think. Look, the fact that he took Khamzat to decision on 11 days notice was pure skill. Yeah, I'm not arguing that he doesn't have the skill. I never am. It's just I get it. Like, you don't have to prove it to me. I just always look at things from all angles, and I can find reasons for any of it. Do you think Ilya could be considered a legend right now? I don't know, man. No, I don't. And everyone's gonna argue that too. Only reason I think Strickland wins is because I think Fluffy ribs haven't healed. Okay. I also heard something earlier that he had I think his grandfather or somebody close to him just passed away too. Maybe it was somebody in his family, and that can always mess with your head. So I'm not giving him a built-in excuse or nothing, but the whole ribs thing kind of reminded me of that too. So if he does have any injuries, which they all do going in it, but yeah, it's just tough. It's tough to say. So I don't want to see Fluffy go down like that because of a bad series of events that unfortunately happened to him at the peak of, a crazy run. So I hope that's not the case. But after the DDP performance, I doubt they give him another shot after one win against a guy like Khamzat. See, that's kind of the side I'm thinking of too, which is why I don't know. But with Imavov, like, he should have already had it, and they haven't given it to him, so he needs to go for grappling right away. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, and that's why I'm happy we get to watch it on Saturday. So for me, that's what makes watching the fights in the end. For the overall thing of it is that, we get to watch the fights and find out, and hopefully it's not controversial. Hopefully it's one of those, hey, oh, this person definitely won, that person definitely won, all that. So let's hope for some good fights. We definitely have some good fights on paper when it comes down to Saturday for UFC Houston. So thank you all. Appreciate you guys for being here. By the way, that was Joshua Delivery Driver. That's a funny ass name. So thanks for jumping in. I appreciate you for running my brain like that a little bit. Yeah, and I appreciate your interaction. So please make sure you guys like this video before you leave here. And if you're not subscribed and you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing as well. But that's it for me. Don't miss the fights on Saturday. They should be good. And yeah, I'll be back on Sunday when to recap UFC Houston. So that's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.